Welcome to A Cupful with myself, Tshegetso Mwepi, a safe space to unearth, explore, learn, heal, and grow while navigating the ups and downs of life. Together, we will learn different perspectives and expose ourselves to the newness that comes with wanting to become the best versions of ourselves. To truly pour into ourselves, ultimately thrive, and enjoy the peace that comes with focusing on a healthy and balanced existence. An opportunity to focus on tending to our overall well-being. Here's to filling your cup. Hi community, welcome to this week's episode of A Cupful. Thank you so much for joining me. Please make yourself at home because you most definitely are. I hope everyone is doing good, or at least taking each day as it comes. You know what the vibes are, you know what is up. We take each day as it comes because the days are not going to be the same. But what is important is that you put your best foot forward as much as you possibly can. And even when you can't, that is completely okay. So, we are truly in a new season, or at least almost. It's the last month of autumn and a light intro into winter. Let's talk about it a little bit. I really don't thrive in cold weather, and all I want is for all of it to be over. But I know that this is not how it works. So the best I can do is to just accept that the cold is coming and that we're already kind of briefly in the cold. It's 20 degrees today, and I'm already just very unimpressed. My hands are so cold. My hands are always so cold when it's winter. My feet are always so cold. Those are probably two of the biggest reasons why I cannot stand this season, like the later part of autumn going into winter. But, anyways, what I am going to do is adequately prepare myself, especially mentally, like just get into the mindset and understanding that it's going to be colder. So I need to just really up it on the enthusiasm and the excitement for daily life, because I'm not excited to go outside and experience the cold. I want to go outside and stand in the warm, beautiful sun. I always speak about perspective, so that's what I'm going to try and do, like change my perspective up a little bit, if that will help or if that will make a difference. So yes, you know what? I can't wait for it to be over, but I'm always talking about perspective and adjusting your perspective to suit the needs of the season you are in. So I'm going to have to quite literally adjust my perspective to quite literally suit the season that we are in at the moment, which is the cold. Anyways, enough about me and how I don't thrive in the cold. We are talking about accountability towards yourself and others in this week's episode. I want us to talk about it, what it is, what it can look like, and the significance of being able to exercise it, as well as the implications of avoiding it. Let's start at the very beginning with a definition straight from Merriam Webster. Accountability can be understood as an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one. This pretty much says that when you need to, you are able to step up and acknowledge the role you have played in whatever it is without defending yourself or avoiding taking responsibility for your actions. Now, as straightforward as accountability should be, it really isn't, because we're human. It's hard to have to acknowledge or accept that you have played a role in either hurting someone or offending them, especially when that might have not been your intention. But it doesn't mean that because of the intentions were not meant to be harmful, you were not coming from a bad place, the other person or people will not feel some type of way about it. Which is why it's really important to be mindful and understand that when you are in the wrong, you need to teach yourself to take responsibility for your actions. And that also requires an open mind, because Your wrong might not be my wrong, but you need to be able to get to a place with yourself where you say, okay, I am willing to meet this person here. I can understand that because of maybe they're just like sensitive and I understand that, or they don't see things from my perspective. I can see why that might have been offensive. So, reaching a middle ground by keeping an open mind is very important in the process of, I'm going to say, embracing accountability and embracing taking responsibility for your actions. You have to be willing to keep an open mind and to see moments as teachable instead of as a person or people trying to come against you. That is where the victim mentality will begin to creep in. And you know what? There is nothing more dangerous than constantly seeing yourself as a victim in a world where everyone hates you and everyone is out to get you. You will easily become the person that no one assertive wants to be around. I know I haven't really spoken about the victim mentality much. I'm going to get into that towards the end of the episode. Of course, when you have chosen to constantly avoid taking responsibility, you are definitely going to end up resorting to things like gaslighting so that you do not have to carry the guilt of having wronged someone else or of even having to apologize, which isn't grown behavior at all. It also becomes easier to be manipulative and turn a situation around to suit your narrative, where you are most probably innocent and the other party is guilty, or where the other party is somehow just coming after you for absolutely no reason. You could also end up becoming a liar because not taking accountability can put you in a position where all you ever do is deny the role you have played in hurting someone, which is a form of being a liar. For example, if a friend approaches you and expresses how hurt they are that you spoke about them behind their back, and then you find a way to do everything but acknowledge their feelings and apologize or keep an open mind and give yourself a chance to process what you are saying or what they are saying, you are not being an accountable person and you are being defensive. And when you say to a person, no, I didn't talk about you, or when I was talking about you, it was never to hurt you, you're also taking away from the opportunity that you're being given to take accountability. If you have wronged your friend and you know that what you did wasn't right, then all there is to do is to apologize. There's no need to get into a whole, oh, it wasn't coming from a bad place, or oh, I really didn't mean to hurt you. You have hurt someone. It definitely comes across as you coming from a bad place, because why are you talking about them behind their back? You know what I'm saying? So it's very important to understand and acknowledge the role that being an accountable person will play in your life and in your relationships as well, which we're going to get into. It's the same as when you decide to change your eating habits or money habits and you don't end up sticking to it. Perhaps you were your own accountability partner, or you had one, and when it is time to be accountable and take responsibility for falling off or giving up, or you blame everything. You blame everything on things such as circumstances or on another person, instead of just acknowledging that you just were not trying hard enough, or you fell off and then actively pledge to do better instead of wasting time finding things or people to blame. At the end of the day, it does come down to you, your failure to not see something through, your failure to not stick to the promises that you've made to yourself. So you could create a schedule moving forward and decide that you're not going to spend money on junk food, or you're going to do it once a month or twice a month, spending less money on things that you don't need urgently and choosing to save it instead. Those are things that you are able to see or even think of when you are willing to take accountability. But when you are constantly trying to be defensive and you are not giving yourself an opportunity to learn, what are the chances that you're going to see opportunities to do better? What are the chances that you are going to try and pick up where you left off? Again, accountability plays a big role in the quality of life that you are going to have. It really, really does. In the relationships you're going to have, and in your own character as well, and just like how much you are willing to give to yourself and how much you are willing to teach yourself and to learn. At the end of the day, accountability is a practiced behavior. Like a muscle that needs to be exercised to develop and become stronger, you need to see value in it, you need to understand the importance of it, you need to choose to do it. It's a big choice thing. I'm definitely learning that accountability will always start with me being able to take responsibility for my own actions and choices in my day-to-day life. That there is no one else to blame when I fail to see the importance in stepping up and acknowledging my wrongdoing, but myself. Playing the blame game and going around in circles when you could just see that you're wrong or that your mistakes are yours is definitely childish, and we are not trying to act like children. We are trying to grow and we are trying to really work on ourselves, and that means that prioritizing being an accountable human being. Lack of accountability is a strong indicator of where you are with your growth and where you are with your maturity, and that is a fact. So, here is my take on what a more grown and mature version of accountability is. The first thing is that when you are wrong, you take responsibility the moment you get an opportunity to, not when it suits you. I understand sometimes we need to sit and process what someone has said to us, but then all you say is, can I just have a little bit of time to think about what you said? It's not that I don't acknowledge what you said, and it's not that I'm not acknowledging the feelings you have expressed to me, but I think I need some time to just process before I respond. Not getting up and leaving when someone is talking to you or trying to address something with you, or not ignoring them and just pretending like what they said to you didn't come across the way that it did to them and it didn't make them feel the way that they're trying to communicate. That is definitely immature behavior, and that is not a sign of someone who is trying to be accountable for their actions. The second thing is when someone tries to hold you accountable, you don't try and gaslight or manipulate them. You step up and acknowledge the role you played. Go back to number one. Please. That's all there is to that. Number three is your apology is backed up by sincere action, because an apology can just be words and that is not enough. Next time, you do better through actions. I think that the biggest thing that happens, or the biggest thing when it comes to accountability, is making sure that the actions that you are going to go through with are going to really be a reflection of the words that you spoke when you were apologizing and saying, I won't repeat my mannerisms or my behavior. Because really, it can just be something that's coming out of your mouth with absolutely no intention to do any better. So what you need to do is make sure that you aren't just saying words just because you're trying to get out of the situation you're in, or trying to get out of that moment. Your actions must really be a reflection of that apology, of that taking of accountability. Number four is when you are being held accountable for your actions or choices, it is not an opportunity to bring up negative feelings you have been keeping to yourself that you have towards the person or people who are addressing it with you. It really comes off as trying to avoid taking responsibility or trying to divert from the actual issue. Learn to effectively communicate and express yourself so that you are not bringing up issues or concerns when the timing is not appropriate. This is such an important thing. It's something that I only started seeing the importance of not too long ago. It's something that has also changed how I choose to handle things and how and when I choose to approach certain things. There really is a time and place for everything, and when you are feeling some type of way about how someone spoke to you in that very moment, you address it. Because if you don't address issues, it will be one thing, and then it will be another, and then it will be another. You're just going to have all of these things sitting inside of you, and at the very, very, very wrong time, you're then going to want to address them. So just because someone is now trying to hold you accountable, you are going to say, I'm sorry, but you didn't treat me right all of these other times. And so it's upsetting me. And so I felt like you didn't deserve an apology from me, or I didn't have to take accountability. Firstly, you are the one that chose not to communicate with that person how you were feeling, how you didn't like how they spoke to you, or how you didn't like how they treated you. And it's immature and it's unfair to want to put that on somebody else. You are an adult and you need to learn to train your mind, train your heart, give yourself a chance to find healthy ways to express yourself and to create boundaries so that when someone is trying to hold you accountable, you don't come up with all sorts of excuses. So learn effective communication, take that upon yourself, be interested in doing that so that an issue is addressed when it needs to be addressed, and so that you're not addressing issues at a time that is not appropriate. Number 5 is, even though you might be offended at what someone is saying in the name of holding you accountable, it does not mean that it isn't true or that you are being attacked. Take the moment as an opportunity to learn. Have a teachable attitude. So just because of you don't like it, just because of it's making you uncomfortable, it doesn't mean that it is not true. You might not have bad intentions, you might not be that kind of person, but in that moment you clearly were to that person. And so what you need to do is understand what effect your actions or words had, and then not repeat that towards that person. The truth is, absolutely nothing in life can be carried out to the fullest without being able to take accountability. It is the one ingredient to this process that brings all these steps together in order to make a new you come to fruition. Accountability means living in integrity with all your thoughts, words, and actions being consistent with one another and in sync. Commitment is one thing, but being able to take accountability is vital to sustaining long-term success and mastering your inner critic. When you choose to be an accountable individual, you accept responsibility for your actions and the results of your choices in life, because actions will always have consequences, whether they are good or bad. And it is definitely your choice to make sure your thoughts, words, and actions are working synergetically together in a positive way to manifest the results you want for yourself. So take ownership. I've spoken extensively about accountability to this point, but I want to go a little bit further and talk about why it is so important. The first thing is that it creates a sense of responsibility. Even though accountability and responsibility aren't the same things, they do go hand in hand. Both accountability and responsibility are crucial for living an authentic life, because without one, you feel unfulfilled or incomplete. When you are accountable, it means that you take responsibility for your actions, whether they are good or whether they are bad, and understanding that every mistake that you make has consequences depending on how you handle it. So when you choose to put up a fight when you're being held accountable, then the consequences will probably be more dire than they would have been if you had just taken a moment to say, I'm sorry, I acknowledge that this was me, I was wrong, and I'm going to work on it. That's all there really is. Pride aside, whatever aside, just take accountability. The second thing is that accountable people are definitely more reliable. Being reliable is important in a job, in a relationship, in any situation you find yourself in. It's important for your overall well-being, for the success in your life, It just is an ingredient to thriving. And I think that when you are reliable, not just to other people, you are most likely reliable to yourself. You can trust yourself, and that is very, very important when it comes to holistic wellness. Being reliable and knowing that you will show up for yourself. It's not just about other people knowing that you are going to show up for them, but it's also knowing that you are going to show up for yourself. And it is definitely rooted in being an accountable person. When you can stand up and take responsibility, or stand up and take accountability, it is also a very big reflection of whether you are someone that can be trusted, that can really show up. So accountability definitely feeds into being a reliable person. Good accountability habits make it easier to maintain healthy relationships. The root of this one, or the base bottom line of this one, is that when you can take a stand, or when you can stand up and say, yes, this was me, yes, I contributed in this way, yes, I should have done this differently and I didn't, and I can see that, people are going to be more open and are going to probably be a lot more understanding, and they will be able to express things like compassion and kindness and respect because of how open you are and how unafraid you are to stand up and say, this was me. Like, there is no shame for you because you understand that you're human. There is no shame for you because you understand that there is no reason to not be honest about things and to not say, yes, I'm human, yes, this wasn't right. It really does contribute towards the health of a relationship. It does contribute towards where you are going to be able to get with other people. It's easier to stay on track. The next one is, it's easier to stay on track when you're accountable to someone else. When you have an accountability partner, you value accountability. So one way to create accountability is to have an accountability partner. Seeing that it is such an important thing to do, it also factors into or feeds into being able to connect with others and living in community, creating community and living in healthy community. It really just contributes to, again, overall holistic wellness or well-being. People who have accountability are less inclined to make excuses. And you know what? Let's be honest about it. We all make excuses from time to time. It is human nature. But if you have an accountability partner, or you have a group that will stand up for you, you're less likely to make excuses because you don't want to let them down. If you're also an accountable person to yourself, you don't want to let yourself down, so you aren't going to make excuses. You're just going to see a thing through, and that's all that there will be to it. Being accountable can also help you overcome procrastination. There are so many reasons why you might procrastinate. Maybe you get distracted by social media or by your favorite TV show, and it often occurs when you feel overwhelmed by a task. We may feel that we don't have the time or energy to complete it, and this might put us off the task until later. However, when we need to be accountable to ourselves, to everyone else, we are more likely to take a deep breath and tackle the task head on. So knowing the importance of accountability and valuing it will also help you purge through procrastination or work through procrastination. When you're accountable, you're more likely to focus on your goals. Accountability is important when you set goals, and it's going to encourage you to work even harder and stay even more focused, because of you know that there is something on the line, and you know that you have yourself to answer to, and sometimes you will have other people to answer to. So accountability, it gives you an opportunity to really be intentional and focus on your goals, because you value standing up and being the person that you said you are going to be from the very beginning. The last thing is that being accountable can help you achieve more in life. First, if you are accountable, you are more likely to follow through on your commitments. This is really what I've been saying in all the other points. That means you are more likely to achieve your goals, whether they are personal or professional, because you value yourself, because you value others who you are in community with, and because of you value the value of accountability, you are going to be able to move forward and thrive. And it's also going to help you build trust with others. When others know you will follow through on your word, they'll be more willing to work with you and help you achieve your goals. And lastly, accountability can also help you learn from your mistakes in so many ways. So now let's focus on the dangers. Let's look at the downside, because we've gone through what the upside is. I previously mentioned that if you fail to take accountability for your actions, some of the dangers include becoming a liar and a gaslighter. You also end up becoming manipulative, dangerous waters to be in, so that you can create the narrative that suits you, often one where you are not the guilty party. I strongly believe that when you have a victim mentality, lying, manipulating, and gaslighting become the norm because you cannot see yourself as anything other than a victim. But it's also because of you don't see the value in accountability. Some people might not necessarily have a victim mentality, but they don't see the value in accountability, or they don't see the value in knowing when to take responsibility, in knowing when to apologize. And that's why I said in the beginning, it is something you need to choose to do, and it's something you need to see value in. I just actually want to quickly give the definition of what victim mentality is, as I said I would. It is when someone feels that bad things keep happening to them no matter what, and at the root of this mentality is that none of these circumstances are their fault. Signs of victim mentality include blaming others for the way your life is, thinking life is against you, having trouble coping with problems in your life and feeling powerless against them, and feeling stuck in life and approaching things with a negative attitude. The victim mentality will easily make taking accountability or being held accountable hard, because life is always against you, and the world is always against you, and someone's always trying to take something away from you. More than anything, it will take away the opportunity to learn and understand things from a perspective other than yours, as well as probably result in people not wanting to be around you or into a close association with you. And I think that that's really the biggest downside. It takes away the opportunity to build successful and important community with others, because in community you aren't selfish, you aren't disrespectful, you give people a chance to express themselves, and you allow yourself to see the value in taking responsibility for your actions and standing up and saying, this was me and I'm sorry. As I mentioned earlier on, accountability is something that you should see the value in. I just said it now again. It's something that you want to do because you understand the impact it will have to allow yourself to take accountability and be an accountable person. Understanding that it will form part of your character, your daily life, and even your interactions with others. It is a big choice thing, and what we should all do is our best and try to see the value in it. We must all do our best when it comes to accountability. I can't stress enough the trickle down effect that being or not being an accountable person will have in your life. It doesn't just stop at your inability to say, I was wrong for taking this, it doesn't belong to me, and I'm sorry. It doesn't just stop there. It moves on into other parts of your life. It moves on into the dreams and goals that you have for yourself. It affects the quality of relationships that you are going to have with other people, how you are going to treat them, how you are going to see them, and if you will be able to see them. So next time there is an opportunity to take accountability for your actions, for yourself, or to be held accountable, look at it as an opportunity to learn and grow. Be quick to listen and slow to respond. And when you do respond, be intentional about taking responsibility. This is where we are ending this week's episode. I appreciate you. Every single listen means so much to me. Please don't forget that A Cupful is available on all listening platforms. So tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend what's up. Please also be generous with the 5-star ratings and let me know what your thoughts are on this episode. You can do that via Instagram at @a_cupful. DM me. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to know what you were thinking. I want to know if you have anything to share on any of your experiences on accountability. Enjoy the remainder of this week. Work when you need to, rest when you need to. Look in the mirror and say nice things to yourself. Be kind and give the best of yourself to yourself. Live your life to the fullest, and don't forget to keep doing the things that fill your cup.